Welcome to the Qualk Show, and happy Saturday night. And again, as parents like to say, just another day living the dream. On today's show, we continue with our second edition of Hot Flashes. This, again, is our celebrity and parenting stories that people are currently talking about. The things that people are talking about around the water cooler, at your dinner table, the stories that are in everybody's mouths. And we're then going to have a conversation about maintaining your connection with the community. Now that all the gay bars are closing down and we're having kids and families, how do we keep that connection to community, and do you even care if you do? And we're going to wrap it all up with a really fun conversation on parenting fails. And first of all, we're going to introduce our panel today. We have Heidi Starr joining us for the first time tonight. She said hi last week, but she's back from her honeymoon. How was it, Heidi?
It was paradise. Incredible, beautiful.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you're still happy to be married a week later.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
You've surpassed Britney Spears.
You're doing better than anyone did. That's great. That's great. Heidi Starr is our psychological and stats girl, and she is a mom to a 2-year-old as well as a stepmom to a grown son. We move on. We have Sin Brunel. Sin Brunel is our shit that sucks girl, and she'll be presenting that next week for the first time. She's a mom to 2 teenagers, so you know things are rough over there sometimes. Next we move on to Hallie. Hallie is our director of marketing. She is a surrogate mother, and she's also mommy to a 6-year-old little girl that you guys may or may not have seen on our prize reveal this week. What a little sweetheart. Moving on, we have Summer Esquire. Summer is our director, our assistant director, and she is the mom to a 3-year-old as well as a 16-year-old. So there's quite a span there of knowledge that we can collect off of Summer.
And insanity as well.
Exactly. And then we have Stephanie. Stephanie is the producer, the co-founder, as well as a mom to a 3-year-old, as well as a 6-month-old, I believe today. Is that correct, Stephanie?
Today! She made half a year!
Yay!
You made half a year.
Yeah.
I made half a year.
And I myself, Carol Rosher, despite what I said on last week's show, the proud mama to a 3.5-month-old baby girl, not a brand new 3.5-year-old baby girl, and she's actually going to be 4 months this Monday as well.
That's appropriate. You could have called her a 30-year-old. Where you're at with an infant, that's right. That's about right.
Yeah.
Right? She's 30 and I'm about 70 right now in parent years. So let's start off the show today with Hot Flashes. Coco Austin gets emotional while talking about her baby Chanel, stating, "They said I couldn't, and I did." How much, my question for the panel is, how much does it drive you to succeed when someone tells you that you can't? Hallie, let's start with you.
I am a big prover wronger. I will put it in your face that I can do it. I'm a Taurus in all areas of my life. And
that says it.
Yep. Last week, I actually almost got into an argument during an interview because I was going for a second job, and she said, I just don't think this is a job you could have 2. And I was like, excuse me, this is my life. I know that I can do this. Don't tell me what. I was almost in tears, and I was ready to strangle her, and then I realized I was in an interview a job I actually want. So I probably shouldn't do that.
Better reel it back in there a little bit.
Yeah, that's an interview fail, Hallie. That's an interview fail. That's tip 1.
We're going to swipe that one that way. Yeah.
We'll be sure to call you as the resume goes in the garbage.
Put me as a reference. Tell her to call me.
Sorry, Hallie, go on.
Yeah, so I haven't heard back on that job yet. So
That's such a shock.
Don't call them. I'm
Shocker.
sure they'll call
Super
you.
shocker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. they'll
Just
call me.
wait by the phone, Hallie. I'm sure it's coming.
I have my phone. I'm ready
Yeah.
right now. If she needs to call, I'm leaving. So yeah, I will put it in your face quietly that I can do it always.
What do you think, Summer? Does anything?
Well-
You're pretty driven as is, but when someone tells you that you can't do it, does it drive you more?
No, I don't even care because, I mean, not to go around quoting Nene Leakes, but what anybody thinks is a non-freaking factor. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I don't compete with other people. I don't care what other people say I can and cannot do. There's no relevance to my life. They don't pay my bills. I pay my bills. They don't take care of my kids. Me and my wife do. So I've always been like that. Like in first grade, people would say, I don't care. It makes no difference. And, I think being a marginalized person, if I really cared what people think, I'd be so far behind. So it doesn't matter. It's immaterial.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Heidi, we haven't heard from you yet on the show. What's your opinion on this?
I have to agree with what Summer said in that I truly subscribe to the thought that what other people think of me is none of my business.
Thank you.
Love it.
I don't think I live so boldly and so brazenly that I think it takes a whole lot of ladyballs or those other kind if they're gonna
Glory balls?
say no you can't like
Benoit? No, never mind. Go on.
yeah.
Benoit, nice.
So I don't get a lot of messaging like that. I've always I've never been the type to check in and to find out what people think about that kind of stuff. I just and I've always prided myself on figuring it out. So, getting A to B, I may not do it the same way as the next person, but I will figure it out. One of the things I pride myself in is my innovation and just being a smart cookie. So if I get it in my mind I'm going to do something, I just do it. If somebody tells me no, you can't, then yeah, okay. My first reaction is gonna be like, watch me.
I guess.
See, Allie, you should have had Heidi on your interview. Maybe.
Right?
Exactly.
In my defense,
One moment, let me video call my friend here.
My friend is like, I'm calling my therapist.
I think it depends.
Literally.
Hold on, though. I think it depends who's telling you. I think it depends who's telling you, because with my doctor says not to drive anymore, I can't just say, hey, I'm going to get on the road anyway because I can do it.
You can do that.
I could. Might not be safe for me or anybody else. So I think that,
I have optical patients doing it every day.
not okay.
Stephanie's the one sending those old people back on the road, people. You got there to think.
Huh?
But in all seriousness, I think as people who are, married to someone of the same sex or dating someone of the same sex and raising children in a society that's not always friendly to that, we kind of have to have enough healthiness to not really give a shit what people think about it, or else we wouldn't be able to be mentally healthy and live our lives.
100%.
100%.
And things like when my wife says we're having a honeymoon, you can't do the first episode of the Qualk show, I say yes, dear.
Actually, I do.
Your clause. They tell me I have to show up for 2 minutes.
Compromise.
You want to weigh in on that at all?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's a like if it's somebody I love and respect, like my wife, and she says no, you can't do that. Like I will take that into consideration. If somebody is saying no, you are not able to do it, that gets my little hairs up on my head, and that's where I get a little more defiant about things. But yeah.
For sure. Stephanie, do you want to weigh in on this, or?
Yeah, I'm going to say this because my best friend in the entire world is downstairs in my living room watching this right now. If she says I can't, I actually listen because she's known me as long as I've known me. And so, therefore, there's really not anything in the whole world that she would say, hey, that's a bad idea. So if she says that, I go, you're probably right. But outside of that, I mean, I love my wife, but when she says I can't, I'm like, okay, look, watch me. Like, for me, like, we're very different people. But
listen to your friend.
keeps it fresh.
I love that.
So,
Guess who's sleeping on the couch tonight?
Yeah, exactly.
So When you say you can't,
up to a spot on the couch right now.
I'm gonna sleep where they're all sitting. But yeah, I'm not happy unless I'm doing 12 things at once. I am not the kind of human being that can be held down for very long. I stay stagnant, and I'm not being authentic. So no, actually, I love it when somebody says no, because I like to chuckle, and I'll consider your opinion heavily. But in the back of my mind, I'm already like, I'm looking at your example of your life, and who the hell are you to tell me not to do something? So for me, I just hold up a mirror and I just move on with my day, and I just do me and just be as happy as possible. So
I love it. And
doesn't mean anything.
And hopefully you've surrounded yourself by this point in life with a lot of people who believe in you and are the people that are telling you can do anything that you want and not necessarily telling you that you can't do certain things. You can't fly, Stephanie. I don't suggest that. But other than that, I think that
I wouldn't fly now, like right now.
Maybe she can, but you know what? I like to hear from the viewers. Have you ever been told you couldn't do something, and was it good advice or was it crappy advice?
Exactly.
Do you limit yourself based on what other people say? So put in the comments. Let us know. Is that a factor for you, or is it a non-freaking factor? Let us know.
Absolutely. Most of the things people say they regret in their lives are things they never did, not things they tried. So
I agree. So Christina Ricci says of her role as a new mom that she wants to succeed for her son, Freddie. Basically saying no longer about her, it's about her son. Is everything we do as parents with your children in mind? Stephanie, what do you think?
Yes. Everything I do. And it's kind of an ironic thing because I'm sort of an in-your-face kind of a person where I'm very unapologetic about the choices that I make, or I'm methodical about the choices I make. That's not true. But when I relate them to the world, they almost seem like they were just completely off the cuff and, oh my God, like totally unexpected, and sort of that's part of the delivery aspect of me, my personal branding. But ultimately, I know that I have a specific role now. When that baby comes out, there's this moment of assessment where you go, okay, like I understand now that whatever I do, you're watching me. It's not a question of what I'm saying to my children. It's not a question of, the things that I put in front of them. It's how I react to them. It's what I'm doing that they care the most about. Because like any kid, and I still do it to my mother, you tune your parents out because you feel like, you don't know, you feel like you can do better. And I'm on to her already, so I already know that for me, if I don't live authentically, thank you, Oprah, I am nothing because I know she's only going to watch me. She'll see me 90% of the time and hear me 10%. And I'm speaking specifically for my older daughter because now she's 4 on Monday and she's manifesting all of these little life lessons I've been sort of imposing on her by making good, righteous choices and being authentic with who I am as a human being, and and admitting when I make mistakes instead of just moving on and being embarrassed about that. I just did it tonight. I yelled at her because she was just so overtired and refusing to do what she needed to do, and I went in there and I apologized to her like a human being because that's what I want her to do to her friends, and that's what I want her to do to her kids. Yep. So yes, every breath I take is about being righteous for my children. And it's nothing more than realizing that in today's society, more parents need to step up like that and go, whoa, mirror, you look at yourself, because the things that you do online, the things that you say about your job, the things that you do as a person, you can say whatever you want, but if you're not happy, that comes through, and they see that, and they turn into unhappy people, and they perpetuate this cycle. So yes, 100%. Even the way I go to the bathroom when she walks in on me, I make sure it's in a way that isn't somewhat decent. That way she knows.
You make sure you're wiping front to back because somebody's watching.
Keeping it real.
Right? Somebody's
the toilet paper goes my wife's way. I make it that way on purpose. Because you want to keep your spouse happy, etc. And that it just extends throughout my whole life.
What do you think, Sin?
Gosh, you basically said it, right? I mean,
right?
It was like a mic drop moment.
I'm taking my words, Sin.
When I'm not able, an important point that you said, when I'm not able to be the best parent I could be, because we're not perfect, right? After 15 years of living with my daughter, sometimes we butt heads, sometimes we fight. And there are times when I say things to her or make choices regarding her that I regret, and I make sure we talk about it. And I go up there and we sit and I tell her, here's what I did wrong. and this wasn't the best choice that I made, and here's what I'm going to do different next time. And what do you think we could do to make that work better? I think talking with your kids and problem solving with them and admitting when you're not a perfect parent, because they know you're not perfect, so admitting it is great.
Yeah.
And you build respect a little bit more that way.
I love it.
I love it.
Yeah, and I think that Stephanie did cover most of it. Is that somebody's always watching you, and these kids are sponges, and it's not about what you're saying. You know, it's about what they're witnessing constantly. We know that as adults, looking back on our childhood. We're going to talk Jillian Michaels one more time this week, and I promise we won't have her in next week's Hot Flashes.
She's hot. It's okay.
We just love her. She's a lesbian. And she's a fit lesbian. I mean, she's a fit lesbian. We don't always have fit lesbians around, let's be honest.
Girl, did you see the U.S.
We don't keep up with ourselves.
She's already nested, and she's still fit. I mean, that's a triumph in itself, but speaking of being fit, she has a new book out, and I'm going to read the entire title. I did not make this up. The title is How to Be Your Healthiest and Hottest Without Eating the Placenta. Yes, that is the book name. So,
that's trifling.
For the panel today, I have a question, which is
I'm out.
Two-part question. It's a two-part question, and my girlfriend and I were laughing about this earlier today, the first part, which is, how concerned are you really during pregnancy about how hot you look? And secondly, who did or would eat the placenta?
I was not at all concerned. No, I was not at all concerned about what I looked like when I was pregnant. I gained 60 pounds. I didn't lose it back till this year, and my youngest is 13. Okay, I did not care what I looked like. If I looked hot, I was just this kid was inside of me, and it did not matter anymore what I looked like. Did not care.
Summer, what do you think?
It took me so long to get pregnant, and I had losses, numerous losses, that I was just like,
that's amazing.
Holy
That's
crap,
amazing.
alive. And I did things like I swam a lot because I was a frickin' house and it was comfortable to swim, and I felt like I was doing something, and I knew that like being, and I walked a lot with a pregnant friend of mine, just because I knew it would make labor a little bit easier, and I'm an older mom, so I knew that it was not going to be a 20-year-old girl's labor, it was going to be a 40-year-old girl's labor, but in terms of how I looked, I mean, I wanted to look presentable for things like work and such. I have a very professional job, but in terms of like being sexy or whatever, whatever. I wanted healthy. I wanted to be healthy.
Summer, let's finish this off with you. What do you think?
Yeah, well, the same thing. I wanted to be healthy, but I was knee deep in donuts and cheeseburgers and all kinds of stuff. So
You're
my diet.
knee deep in something, aren't you? That was the theme last week.
Well, as long as I'm knee deep in Kendall, that's all that matters. Or donuts. But yeah, I didn't care. I mean, I didn't care. I care now, and I cared after I had our youngest. As far as eating the placenta, no, but I'll certainly plant it under a tree. But I'm not eating it, and I'm referencing that because for our oldest daughter, the placenta is planted under this beautiful tree, so the trees can have all that nutrients. They can have that, but I don't want it in a capsule. I don't want it in pudding. I don't want it over rice. You know, like I don't want it with green eggs and ham. I don't want it with anything.
Stephanie, that's what you're barbecuing up on the barbecue tonight, isn't it?
Dude. I don't know anything about pregnancy. I know about the 60-pound weight gain, though, because I gained that when my wife was pregnant.
Yeah, exactly.
I can talk about that all day. No. I not only does it absolutely disgust me, I'm 12, and breast milk still kind of gets to me a little bit. But I'm like, yeah. So I don't
know. I'm kind of.
I think Hallie probably has a little bit more to add because she said she ate it.
Wait.
Like beef jerky, I believe she said.
No. I can't go whole.
I have to say, I would eat it. I would eat it. If I had that option, and I and it could be presented like maybe not like placenta on a plate of polenta or anything, but like if it was encapsulated or like hidden in a stew.
What a mom thing to say. Hidden in the stew.
Grind it up in the
That's
meat.
disgusting. That's so disgusting.
I never got the option.
You want the
do.
shit in the pot, huh? Maybe you want the shit in the pot and a little bit of placenta on the side? That's so gross.
Hallie, where do you even find a place to do that?
There's actually
in
placenta.
Oregon.
And everybody
There's
chooses
actually
In Oregon. Come
when
on.
we had our daughter, Nicole fully planned on encapsulating the placenta and doing it that way. There's companies, there's people that will do that for you. I also, my sister-in-law, my sister, had done it the old-fashioned way with a steak knife at home and protein shakes, but we weren't able to do it.
I don't want to meet her.
Yeah.
Ever.
In all fairness, I've heard that it
I
really
want her
helps.
kissing me. Hi.
I've
It's
heard that it
supposed
can
to
really
help.
help with
Thank you,
postpartum
Sid.
depression. It can really. I
Thank you.
had a friend who had it dried and encapsulated because it really helped with the postpartum depression.
Exactly.
So I've heard.
Exactly.
I didn't use it, and maybe I should have, but I've heard that that's what
Stephanie
it helps
would
with.
rather hang herself than she's all for the postpartum.
Not for me. It's not for me. You can have my eggs. You cannot have my vagina. Same thing with my placenta. It's mine. If I ever have
You
one.
can't have it.
No, thank you.
I love
I'd like
it.
to know if anybody out there fed their partner placenta unknown.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know.
Unknown?
I agree.
No, that's divorce court stuff.
Well, that's why she wants to know.
I love it. We're going to move on to our main topic tonight. Before we do, I just wanted to give a shout out to the fact that you can follow us on Twitter. You can find us on our Facebook page at The Qualk Show. You can look us up and find bios on all of the panelists here today at www.thequalkshow.world, as well as taking part in live chats. If you have something to ask us, if you think what we are talking about today is disgusting or you love it, you'd like a pot of Heidi's stew, just hit us
I'll
up.
look up a recipe. I will look up
on
a
the
recipe.
chat lines. When we do our Qualk Show cookbook, we'll be sure to include that in there.
Placenta and polenta. Yeah.
So
I
want
will
to
be in that book.
I'm looking at you, Emerald Lagasse. Put it together.
Exactly.
Do it.
Exactly. I challenge you. I want to talk a little bit about maintaining a sense of community. And especially, I don't know, not everybody was as involved in the gay scene as maybe I was, but I definitely find now that I'm older with a family and a child and not really feeling connected to the gay scene at all, it's not that I miss it, but I do kind of miss gay people sometimes and just being around like-minded individuals. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But, you know, the gay bars are fading. Part of our mandate of the gay community is inclusion, and along with that, some of the gay bars are closing, and it's getting harder and harder to maybe maintain that sense of community. And I know there's a lot of people out there that have absolutely no desire to maintain that sense of community. Summer, what do you think about this?
I am just getting the sense of the queer community now being online. You know, with me and my wife's YouTube channel and doing the Qualk Show, this is the most interaction with lesbians that I have ever had in my entire life. And I've been gay for 20 years.
Wow.
So as far as the losing the sense of community, I never really felt that I was welcome in the community. When I was in Atlanta, that has a large black gay community, I didn't feel really that I belong there. When I moved to South Florida, there's a place called Wilton Manors. It's like the gay Disney World down here, and I never felt a connection. And we lived near Wilton Manors, so I lived in the gay Disneyland, and I didn't feel that. So missing the bars, we would go every couple of months, and it was like a whole lot of old white lesbians. I didn't really feel a connection.
Don't hate, Summer. Don't hate.
We call them mountain lesbians.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Well, my first partner was a pretty old white lesbian, so I can't hate them so much.
Everyone's
That's who
first partner is
indoctrinated
an
me.
old white lesbian.
Yeah.
Everyone's first partner.
Is an older white
Not mine.
lesbian. Yeah.
Thank God that's not my current partner. Yes,
Exactly.
that's. Oh, God bless all of them who had to deal with you. Anywho, I never felt that community. But I do think that we do need to create one, and what we're doing here on the Qualk Show and other venues and social media where we're able to connect and, cross multiple miles and time zones. This is where the community is headed in the 21st century.
I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, when my kids were younger, there was a lot of like if you go online, there's a lot of meetup groups. There were a lot of like same-sex parent of young children meetup groups where they'd go to the zoo or the playground together. Now that my kids are older, that kind of thing fades away a little bit. But I did do that a lot to stay connected. I was never really into the club scene except for when I was a teenager and sneaking in and too young to legally be there. By the time I could legally be there, I wasn't interested anymore in the clubs.
Because you're a lesbian. That's why.
Yeah.
Well, those are the clubs I was going to, though, before then, secretly. But, yeah, I think that, I still go to Pride. I still, get involved with that and things like that. But I think mostly it's online. It's Facebook. It's the Qualk show. It's things like that. So.
I know that I live in a small town that my friends tried to open a gay bar or more of a lesbian geared bar. It didn't go down so well.
No, because the lesbians are all at home eating Cheetos. Nobody's going to the bar.
Wait, no lesbians didn't go down? That's unusual.
I know, right? Weird. So that one didn't go over so
Sin, well played.
Salem doesn't have much of a really big gay community because they're all older. They're, you see them at the grocery store in the organic section. You're like, oh, I see you. I'm gay too. I'm always like,
with your Birkenstocks, right?
The eye contact and the nod, yeah.
Little nod. I know for me, definitely I work for an employer that has a big Pride community or a big Pride network, and I've joined that, and I'm getting more involved in this. I know for me, Pride is always, I feel like Christmas morning when I walk in the Pride parade. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can hold my girlfriend's hand and we can kiss and everybody else thinks it's great. You don't have to be like, oh, who's watching us? Who's looking? But I definitely, it's getting more online, and I really enjoy that. I feel like you can connect a little bit better without worrying about looking people in the eye and what do you look like and what am I wearing and do I look cute. But with all that being said, I still go to the gay bars. That's where I met my fiance. We still go a couple times a month, and we have a great time and we dance. But it's definitely not a gay bar. It's just everybody has fun and wears whatever they want and has a great time.
I'm going to speak on this because in Philadelphia, when the only lesbian bar closed down, it was a huge loss. And I say that because every person that ever talked major shit on the bar, or any person that decided not to go there on a Thursday night because they felt like it was a younger crew and they couldn't connect, and every time that people would choose to go to a gay bar versus a lesbian bar and they were lesbians, it sort of imploded the club itself. And so I had a little bit of an inside look of the whole entire bar scene because I was a part of a softball culture that we were always in the bars. It's just sort of...
Again, another weird anomaly that a lesbian would be part of a softball culture. Please go on.
Shocking. You'd be surprised. So having sort of been in on doing major events within the city and watching the decline right around 2006 to 2008 of the bar scene as a whole for lesbians, it was so sad because as much as I didn't go at the end, because when you meet your partner, you haul it up, you head to the burbs, and you don't go back. And then on your anniversary, you want to go, but you can't go once a year and expect the bar to still be there.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem with the lesbian culture. We all want it to be there, but we don't want to do anything to really keep it there. And with the gays, they're still out. They're going out every weekend, and they live in the city, and they're sort of just throwing themselves into that culture, and that's why it's thriving still now. Because even though they're attracted to lesbians that are incomers, but here's who I'm concerned about because. That's one of the reasons why Karen and I decided to do this show. Where are the face-to-face interactions? Where is that excitement when you walked into your gay cheers? Where is the discovery aspect of seeing what lesbians look like lurking in the corner with their flannels, two people on my panel, and fiends, right? And the Greek gods, and being exposed to that culture firsthand where you can get it all at once. You can do it online. You got to search it out. But the problem now is the folks that are feeling disconnected are going behind the walls into private chat rooms, and then they misconstrue conversations because they don't know those people. They can't see the reactions and feel them. So with the Qualk show, we were like, whoa, let's get this face-to-face because you don't get that from the bar scene anymore. There's a whole 10-year gap, a generation of little lesbians that aren't going to have what we had. And so in a lot of ways, as a lesbian now that, lives in the burbs, I do see it as being a viable thing as long as it is invested in the right way. And in my personal opinion, the right way is to be inclusive of everybody, not just call it a straight up lesbian club, but do it, by lesbian bar owners. So that way you're going in there, and if you hit on somebody at the bar, it's actually an okay thing, because they might be gay, they might not be gay, but at the same time, it's supported by a gay network.
Yeah.
And that's sort of where the bars need to go. We can only be a culture that can speak on, exclusivity if we do that non-inclusively. And sort of, I see the inclusiveness moving online, and sort of the only way to get back to the bar scene is to sort of say, hey, let's take our straight brothers and sisters and just...
There's a great bar locally. My wife actually used to cook there. And it's owned by a wonderful lesbian woman, and she's fantastic. And that kind of, and it's not a gay bar, but you know going in there that you can be open with your partner, and that the owner considers you family, and that even if anybody who comes in, the fishermen that come in, anybody. So shout out to Amy. She's a great bar owner, and she makes it a good place to be.
That's awesome.
And
There's a group of lesbians here that have moved the gay scene beyond the bar, which I absolutely love, and they do camping weekends. They do coffee shop nights and whatnot. So it may not be.
Do lesbians actually like camping, though, Heidi?
I love it.
Not this lesbian. I don't like bugs. I don't like bugs, and I don't like placenta.
We are covering all the stereotypes here today, folks. Go on, Heidi.
But when I first started going to the gay bar, I think it was very important because I needed to have that kind of foray. I come from a very conservative kind of background, so to see real live people in their real live world.
Live lesbians.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we see the lesbian traipsing across the bar with a wrist cuff and Doc Marten boots.
Exactly. Thank you very much. That thing that I really didn't fit in very well. The first time I walked into a gay bar, I had a couple of backwoods lesbians come up and say, this is a gay bar, right? I was like, yeah, the 6-foot poster of Xena didn't cue me in it.
And you said, yeah, you buying me a drink or what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, my wife walked into that bar, I thought she was straight, and I got an attitude about it, and now she's my wife.
Yeah.
I don't look gay per se. I look incredibly feminine. I'm noticing my nails. These were for the wedding. I'm not this girl. But I didn't know how else to present myself to let people know I was gay. I couldn't stand in the middle of Safeway and go, where are all my lesbians at, sisters?
Carol, you and I have that same problem, right?
I have that exact same problem.
Same problem.
It's like I gotta wear a tattoo. I'm gonna tattoo something on my forehead that says I like to. Never mind.
No, we're not fooling anybody, Carol.
Attention to see it, So I needed to be able to kind of. And I moved from Edmonton, Alberta, over to Kamloops, British Columbia. No gay bars. I didn't know where to connect with one. I'm sorry, but Plenty of Fish, y'all are crazy on there.
Right.
It's the same girls.
Right? So I needed to find the people out there, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate the fact that there's non-bar related, so you're not only seeing just people at their drunkest, you're actually seeing people just
hey, I'm fun at my drunkest.
I
think there's a challenge, though. I think that there's a challenge, too, because we have lesbian friends and they have no kids, right? And so trying to hook up with other lesbians who don't have kids, there's a disconnect. Or when your kids are older or younger, there's certain things that you have to be aware of. So even with these different stages, I think now that we've become more normalized in society, it's difficult to have a tribe or a bigger culture unless everyone was kind of on the same path at the same time. I think that's one of the biggest difficulties that we have.
I agree. And, what does our audience think? What do you think? Do you miss the gay bars? Do you still have gay bars in your community? How do you...
Did you go to a gay bar?
Did you go to a gay bar?
Was a gay bar in your own house?
Your community. My second bedroom is a gay bar, but we've got to light up. No. Here's the thing, and I'm a little bit of an older panelist. I'm a little bit of an older member of the cast, and I grew up in a time where that was the only place that you could go and hold your girlfriend's hand and be a normal couple. I remember vividly how surprised I was at 20 years old that the bar was open on Christmas Day. And not only was the bar open, but it was probably one of the busiest days of the year, because back then, far more so than nowadays, thankfully, people lost their families over coming out. People lost their friends over coming out. People didn't have anywhere to go and feel a sense of family on Christmas Day, as sad as that was. And so, you know, for me personally, the Qualk Show is definitely what Stephanie says, which is creating more of a community online, because the gay bars are fading, and we do still, every human being needs to feel like they belong to something. They belong to their families. They belong to different things. And we need to feel included and have like-minded people to discuss our everyday lives with. And that is what the Qualk Show is all about.
Absolutely. That's what we're talking about, right?
We get sick in isolation. We get well in connection.
Exactly.
But I guess one of the questions that I have is, you know, we're talking a lot lesbian.
Certainly.
But there's a whole queer spectrum, right?
Yes.
So for those who identify as bisexual, those who are trans, those who are gender queer or gender neutral, you know, where is the sense of community with all of these different groups? Because I feel like at this point, because we have the language and the ability to be in different segments, that we're becoming more siloed and not more together and inclusive, right? So if I like to hear from you guys who are not necessarily lesbian, but in the other aspects of the queer spectrum, do you care? I mean, is this an old lesbian thing, and there are other challenges that we have as far as creating a sense of community?
I agree.
So
I know my friends are just finding a place to pee. That's all. They just want to pee.
Exactly.
They don't care if it's a lesbian bar, a gay bar, McDonald's, they don't give a shit. They just want to pee.
They just want to go to the bathroom.
I had met a mama's group and of just mums, orientation, gender out the window mums. And I frequently see just new mums going, I am lonely. So it's, I think that just kind of comes when you are one of the first in your friend group or whatnot to become a mom. There's a whole, like, you know, you hold that baby, things change. There's a whole level of relating to people that that if you don't have a baby, I don't think you can relate on that level anymore. So I think there's something about being a parent, or especially a single parent, that can be very lonely. So
I agree. My partner and I were actually just talking about this yesterday, as a matter of fact, saying that it feels like we've entered this unspoken silent group of parents that you just kind of nod and you understand each other's trials and tribulations, and and nobody talks about it. It's a secret group, but once you're in it, you definitely know that you're in it. And
well, I mean,
that's why we didn't correct you when you said you had a 3.5-year-old, because we were tired.
Using the old horrible lingo, Kara, we're all breeders now, right? That used to be not a good thing.
I know. I got my hand smacked over that word a few times for sure.
I can only speak on my culture here, because doing the show, I committed to building the structure out, because I feel so spoiled, because my entire city caters to the gays now. Like, we have the gayborhood. We have like rainbows underneath of the street signs, and like that, we're the first gayborhood city in the entire nation, probably the world. We should probably check that out. I should probably get a little more culture on that.
Vancouver has a gayborhood.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Hashtag Davy Street.
Our mayor has appointed somebody who's pretty much exclusive to our issues. You know, there was a hate crime that went down that was national news. A bunch of, you know, thuggy, you know, preppy, well-to-do off people like jumped a gay couple simply because they, you know, felt the need to do that, and they were indicted. They were held accountable for that. And those are the sort of changes that are happening throughout my city. And so it's exciting within that to know how respected we are. And I'm seeing Philadelphia attract intellectual conversations based on our community. I'm watching major forums on discrimination choose Philadelphia to be the place that they want to, you know, create their panel and their discussion. And so that makes a lot of sense because in America, and I don't really know much about Canada, love it.
You don't even know how to pronounce it.
In Philadelphia, that's where the Declaration of Independence is. It should be that way. And if we're going to set a standard on creating equal rights for our community, it should happen in Philly. At City of Brotherly Love, we're going to be the aspect of what that looks like. And so with the gay bars, it's a sad sin that there can't at least be one, lesbian one queer inclusive community bar that everybody, sends to and has that aspect of cheers. But in my city, it feels like the whole city is doing that.
And at least Bruce Springsteen will still go to Pennsylvania, right? He won't cancel that.
Bruce Springsteen. Way to take a stand. Yeah,
thank you, Bruce. He's the boss.
Well, I think basically, again, like so many other things in life, it comes down to your personal preference, whether you are the type of person that wants to be involved in that sort of community, whether you're the type of person that's more of a homebody, things of that nature. And I think that's why the Qualk Show is such an amazing place for people to meet, is because whether you're shy or you're outgoing or whatever the case may be, you can chat on our chat lines, you can send us videos, you can be as involved as you want, or you can also sit in the privacy of your own home and feel like you're included in something without ever having to, step outside of the box that you're comfortable in.
Yeah. And hi there. Welcome. Thank you for watching.
Exactly.
Thank you for wearing pants.
Yeah. Exactly. And hopefully someday, as you continue to watch and you get to know us and you feel comfortable, you will want to reach out and ask a question and be involved, and we welcome that as well. So, I have only been a mom for, it'll be 4 months on Monday, but I have already managed to have an epic parenting fail. And none of my...
Only one?
Well, we're only going to talk about one right now. I'm sure most of my friends and family are laughing right now saying, yeah, of course she has, like she's an idiot. But the other day, we use a diaper cream for our daughter, and my partner also uses the exact same brand of anti-blemish cream for her face. And they looked exactly the same. And I'm kind of a dude, so if it's not,
really?
Yeah, well, no, that's another show. But my brain is very male, unfortunately, and if it's not where it's supposed to be, I don't know where to look for it. Like I don't know. I need my God. Okay, so I was changing my daughter, and I grabbed this tube off the baby center place, whatever it's called, the change table, the baby center place.
Yeah, you do have an infant. You do have a 3.5, almost.
Yeah,
this is so
baby center place. I grabbed it, and I noticed, I was like, it's a little sandy and watery and whatever, but whatever. She's got a diaper rash. She needs to put it on. We obviously need to get a new one.
And she needs grit. She needs grit on her ass. Is that what you were thinking? That makes sense. Grit on her ass.
So I literally
diaper rash.
Exactly. So I literally applied this cream in great excess to her most sensitive areas, and got a call from my partner the next day saying, "Do you have any idea why there is sand in our daughter's diaper?" Just like loads of sand in our daughter's diaper.
Carol, you have one job. You have one job.
I know.
Hey, Carol, let me make you feel a little better. Can I tell you about one of my fails?
Yes, please do.
So
I feel like I should wear a helmet with you people. I'm looking scared now.
It wasn't my own child, which makes it even worse. So I was nannying at the time for a lovely lady who was suffering from cancer and had 3 kids, and she was having radiation, so she couldn't be close to the baby. So I was watching all 3 of her kids. I had my daughter who was a toddler, and I was very pregnant with my son. And we went for a walk, because that's what you do when you have a gaggle of children, right? You go for a walk with them.
You tire them out.
So we went gay bar night out.
Yeah, so we went for a walk, and I had a couple in the stroller, and the 3-year-old wanted to walk on her own. As long as she stayed close, that was fine. But then she wandered off a little bit, right? And she wandered off a little bit, and I'm trying to call her to come back, and she's playing with something. And so she comes back over to me, and she shows me so enthusiastically the dirty used condom she found.
Oh
And she's playing with it. It's been in her hand. It hasn't made it to her mouth yet. And we stop everything. I say, "Oh, you don't want that balloon, honey." And I said, and we're cleaning her hands with baby wipes. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to explain to her mother that her daughter had her hands in some stranger's bodily fluids,
or that she has hepatitis B.
Yes.
If that was my life, that would be the last time you ever saw my kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Or any kid for that matter. Any kid. Ever.
It was not my fault that some jerk threw a condom on the side of the road. I mean,
that is disgusting.
But that is where condoms normally go. I mean,
The road, Summer? Where are you living?
it was a nice neighborhood.
Well, before I was a lesbian and when I was with men, there were a time or two where in the car when we finished doing whatever, you toss it. I mean, you just toss it.
What are you going to do? Pack it up and take it home? I guess.
For toddlers touching that stuff if you just toss it, though.
That's true.
You need to do a better job of parenting and looking after children. That was your fault.
I should be allowed to throw my condoms away. It's your parenting fail.
That was my epic fail. The child touched some random person's nasty bodily fluid. She was fine. There were no ill long-term effects, thank God. And I did
still get tested? Does she still get tested? I mean, how do you know? Does she get tested every 6 months?
Does she know her status? Know your status.
Exactly. Well, here's the thing. Like, I kind of wear my heart on my sleeve, my life on my sleeve. You either love it or you hate it about me. So I put it on my Facebook, what I had done. And a friend of mine from high school wrote to me very kindly and said, Carol, don't worry about it. These things happen. She said, once when my kids were little, we went camping and accidentally used Lysol wipes instead of baby wipes.
I did that at the IVF clinic when they needed to check something down there, and I thought the wipe in there, it burned. I mean, burned for hours. So I know about that. Well, it was fresh and clean, and it was deodorized.
Super clean and deodorized.
They used to market Lysol for that, If you look it up, Lysol used to be recommended as a douche.
Yes, it did. Yes.
No, not a good thing. Don't do that to yourself.
First of all, kids, don't douche.
Don't do that. You don't need to do that.
It's a myth. Don't clean yourself. And if for whatever reason you feel you must, do not use Lysol or Pine Sol or anything like that.
No.
Anything that ends in Sol.
Heidi, have you had any parenting fails yet?
I've only been a parent for a short time, so I haven't had a lot of opportunity. I've got a couple of
I've been a parent for 4 months, Heidi.
In the 2.5 years that my daughter's been around, I think my biggest thing is I always forget diapers. And there's all sorts of things that have happened as a result of that. I was over visiting my parents and, of course, forgot to bring diapers. And so my daughter kind of used her diaper and I put it aside. And then we're having wine on their brand new deck. And it's like the brand new, like finished that afternoon, brand new deck. And I look over and my daughter is crapping on the deck. Or I had a friend. I was visiting a friend whose heart was absolutely broken. He was talking to me about how the love, absolute love of his life, had just left 3 days previous. And had not even washed the sheets yet because her side of the bed still smelled like her. And my daughter had climbed into his bed and started to nap. And I went and I got her, and she had peed like everywhere. So now
your daughter's a dream killer.
Now he had. And I was mortified. He's like, I've got 2 kids. It's okay. I understand. It happens. I was like, but no, your girlfriend's side smells like my daughter's pee.
You were just trying to do your job as a psychologist by helping him move along to the next stage and not hang on to the broken dream. right?
I think that was actually a win. I was thinking the same thing. That was a win because he needs to move on and he doesn't need to smell the scent of somebody who just left his ass. So your daughter did the great thing of pissing all over that bed.
That's right.
Exactly.
Dude.
Exactly. Move on, all right? I'm taking care of this right now. Hallie, please tell me you've had a parenting fail. I can't be the only one.
We came really close. So it was late in the evening. We had put our daughter to bed, and we were watching our shows in the living room. And from down the hallway, I hear this.
Oh my God.
Coming down the hallway, and it's getting closer, and it's getting closer, and I'm like, oh Jesus, oh God.
It's getting closer. Usually this excites me, but right now it's not for some reason.
Darwin was fucking with me. No, not Darwin. Pavlov. Sorry, wrong.
Right.
So it gets closer, and I turn around. I'm like, Casey, what do you have? She was obsessed with the back massagers, those little vibrating back massagers.
Sure, that's
She's
what
like,
they
Mama,
are.
Yeah. Back massager.
Back massager. No, it was her back massage. She's like, Mama, rub my back. I'm like, oh Jesus, give it time. Yep, that.
Stephanie, things are crazy.
Don't you leave it
Crazy in your house.
I hope you clean that before you put it on the damn camera. Because I know you're in your pantry, and I know what you do in your pantry.
I don't put dirty condoms.
I don't keep them. I said I'd get rid of them. I get rid of them.
Sorry, Hallie. Continue.
It was that actually. It was the exact same one, only it was green. So
Stop. Things
so
amazing.
It was really close, and I was really nervous, but we passed that one. I do know we asked earlier this week on our Facebook page, so make sure that you like the Qualk Show on Facebook because we love your input. And
Yeah,
Louise,
what was one of the comments? There you go, Hallie.
Yeah, Louise, I asked her permission first. I mean, she put it on social media, so it's fair game, but I was nice.
We own that shit now.
Yes, mine, on me. She, it was a really cold day, and she went to take her baby out, and she bundled, what did she say? I bundled her precious little boy in a warm hat.
Yeah.
His? Oh, I'm sorry. Bundled my precious little warm.
We don't care about gender here at the
warm
Qualk
hat. I need a drink. He was just
Ask
under
Stephanie.
a year old. Yeah, 70. Thanks. Anyways, got the baby all bundled up, all ready to go outside. They're walking along, and they realized that they forgot shoes. So hat, snowsuit, naked little baby feet.
Tiny little baby feet.
The good news is that Mark is now a happily married man, and his husband's amazing. I know the family. And Mark likes to climb mountains in the wintertime, and so having bare feet in the winter did nothing to harm him. He's an awesome guy. So it's all good.
Built him stronger.
Climbs in bare feet too. Does he climb in bare feet? Because he has a propensity
He built up calluses from a childhood so that he doesn't need to wear shoes anymore.
He actually lost sensation, that's why. But it's
exactly. They're just stumps now.
We call him Stephanie.
So I got two parenting fails. One is with my oldest and one is with my youngest. So my wife and I met when my oldest was about 5 or 6, and she is a gentle and sensitive soul. And so when she would get upset, she would cry, understandably a 5 or 6 year old would cry. So I would tell her, like, what is your problem? You need to man up, like man.
Understandably, she would cry. What is your problem?
Let me quote what I used to say to her: "Man the fuck up."
I like you.
My wife and I, we went to go see a therapist, and I'm telling the therapist, like, this is appropriate behavior. And she said, let me tell you something, Summer. You cannot tell a little girl to man up. First of all,
wait, let me take notes. I gotta take notes on this. Hold on. Okay, go.
Yes, one of the things is don't tell them to man up. Don't tell them to grow.
First of all, she is a girl, so I don't know how she would know how to man up. Right? You don't tell that to a young lady. So that was the first fail. I thought I had grown and progressed with our youngest. So our youngest, I'm nursing her, and fair enough, right? Totally different fail. I'm nursing her, and at the time, I was still a drinker. And so, you read all the stuff online about how you time the alcohol, and then you got to smush it out, and then later on you can nurse them. So I really wanted a beer. I wanted a Corona. I was feeling a little Hallie-ish at the time. So I went, and I, chugged this Corona. I just, downed it like I was a 21-year-old frat boy. Thought everything was cool, waited a couple hours, start nursing her, and she immediately starts projectile vomiting. I'm like, oh my god, she's gonna have alcohol poisoning. Well, I thought it was enough time. Needless to say, that was the only time that she has ever projectile vomited, and I don't drink Dos Equis, Coronas, tequila, beer, wine, whatever. I don't fuck with any of it anymore because it just totally
boring.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I didn't want my daughter to be an alcoholic. So
Yeah, that's fair.
That's
okay.
fair.
Try to give her a better start than that,
Fair.
right off the boob, alcoholic.
Yes, exactly. Ooh, where is it? Give me some more.
Well, I'm glad that I'm not the only one, although I think that mine is still worse because my poor little daughter may have sand issues for the rest of her life at some point. She may not want to go on the sand at the beach. She may not want anything to do with any of that. But I want to thank the panel. I want to thank the viewers at home that tuned in tonight, that are tuning in every Saturday to watch the Qualk Show with us. If you want to learn more about the Qualk Show, Hallie, where do they go?
So, if you're on our webpage, that's the first place, thequalkshow.world, not com, world.
.world.
The world.
We are the world.
We are the world. That's a great place if you want to meet the cast, if you want to see who we are, what we like, what our family looks like, if we want to show you what our family looks like. We're all right there.
My family's pretty cute, I ain't gonna lie.
I think we all have really cute families, so yes.
Mine's okay.
Make sure to, I'm a little biased. So you want to also go to our YouTube page, The Qualk Show. Search The Qualk Show and subscribe. That will make sure that you know when you're posting. Subscribe. That if it's a red button, you haven't done it yet.
Plus, we will be doing lots of giveaways that you have to be subscribed to be entered into.
You do. You got to make sure you watch. You want to go to our Facebook page, The Qualk Show. I know it's really confusing.
It's hard.
It's a great way. We're on there every single day. We're all talking. We're all interacting. It's a great way if you have questions. You can always
anything you
us.
want featured on the show.
If you think that we totally screwed up on something, please let us know. If you think we're amazing, we love hearing it.
We love it.
If you have any questions, comments, concerns, email thequalkshow@gmail.com. It's all really simple. It's all the same damn thing.
Exactly.
And we're slowly getting into tweeting. So let us know if you're a tweeter, if you like the twit.
Oh, tweet.
I love it. Also, we want to make sure that you're tuning in next week. We're going to have a special guest next week by the name of Kirsch Brands. Kirsch is the owner of the Pride and Joy Project, as well as the person who originally started Queer Mamas, which is one of the largest queer family lesbian chat groups on Facebook.
That's how we all met, right?
Exactly. Well,
and it's not even just a lesbian chat group, right? That's a trans inclusive queer chat group. Yeah.
Certainly. Did I say lesbian? My bad.
You did. Yeah.
Sorry, I always have lesbian on the mind. I don't know what to tell you. But
Such a bunch.
Yeah. We're going to be talking TTC, trying to conceive. We're going to be talking IVF. We're going to be talking about struggles. We're going to be talking about the best clinics to go to. How do you stay positive with your partner during what can be a very long and trying experience, trying to get pregnant? It's not as easy as Summer just throwing the condom out the side of the car anymore. You've got to really put some effort into this. And we're also going to have a fun discussion about kids saying the darndest things. You know, my daughter isn't speaking quite yet, but my nephew has had a few doozies that I will be bringing to you next week. And, you know, what are some of the things that have cracked you up and or embarrassed you out in public that your kids have been saying? So make sure that you...
I got
Yeah, most definitely. I think what we're going to have to do next week is just narrow those down because one of the most amazing thing about kids is they have zero filter, which is why
Just
I'm
like
kind
me.
of a big kid as well. A big kid as well. Zero
I'm scared of
filter.
what your kids are going to say, Stephanie. If they're mini yous, oh, goodness.
Right?
Dude.
Right?
Lord have mercy on their teachers. That's all I have to say.
Let us pray.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's what you have to look forward to on next week's show. Of course, we're always going to be bringing you more hot flashes, celebrity and parenting stories that are in the news. And, we just want to thank you again for tuning in today. We really appreciate it. We hope that you're having fun and maybe learning a little bit, and most of all, creating a sense of community with us. So if everybody wants to raise their glasses like is tradition on the Qualk Show, or their beer, in Stephanie's case.
Dude. It's for my little brother who's here from Ohio.
Or
Syracuse.
water for healthy lesbians.
Exactly.
Healthy lesbians at some point.
May they always stay
Love me.
safe despite us.
Dude, cheers.
See you next week,
Cheers.
everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.